Well, good morning. Wow, what a turnout. I don't think we, as is obvious, we quite anticipated the interest in this today quite correctly. So apologies to those who are standing at the back, but it's great to see you all here. And so on behalf of the PWI, can I welcome you to today's conference and hope you enjoy it as much as I think I am probably going to do. The PWI Annual Electrification Conference is something that we kicked off within the PWI about 6 years ago, and we've had some pretty marvellous conferences in the past, and the numbers interested in coming along to talk speak volumes for the fact that the industry needs these forums and wants these forums to share knowledge and share understanding. I'd like to do one thing that I do at these conferences each year, just to test how we're doing with spreading the word to electrification engineers and engineering people about the PWI conferences. How many of you, could you put your hands up, if you identify your main interest in life as electrification, please? Yep, that's... okay. So there's two things that come out of that. One is that there's a lot in the audience who are a bit strange like me, but also that we are actually building the numbers of electrification people who are aware of this and coming along to these conferences. Brilliant, thank you. The PWI is seeking currently to broaden its activities into whole rail infrastructure, and the strapline under the PWI badge speaks volumes about that. Stephen Barber stood to my left here, the CEO, has kicked off a consultation process among the members of the PWI to examine what our strategy should be for development of the institution across the next 5 to 10 years. All I'm going to say this morning is that I would encourage anyone who is a PWI member and eligible to comment on that strategy development to please get involved. I think Stephen would say himself that we're interested, not just interested, we really want to know where the membership believes we should be travelling. If we don't know your opinions, it can't colour ours. So please engage in that consultation. I'd like to say a few thank yous before I shut up and let the main conference get on. First of all, the central team of the PWI are the people who organise these conferences. They're pulled together because of a lot of hard work done by the central team. Today that central team is represented by Liz Turner leading the charge here today. Is Liz in the hall at the moment? I usually like to just embarrass them a little bit by offering... Let's have a round of applause for the people who've organised this for us. Over the past couple of years, we've established within the organisation an electrification committee, which sounds all very working men's clubbish, really, doesn't it? It's not. We've got electrification people helping to map how we get the PWI offering to electrification people focused on electrification industry. To that committee, I would like to express some thanks, because it is that committee which has helped to create this conference today. And particularly, I'd like to just mention Paul Hooper. Paul, thank you for taking the lead in pulling this together. That is also a lot of work, getting the balance of the presentations correct. To our sponsors, we can't mount these events unless we have the financial support and the in principle support of our sponsors. I thanked the sponsors by name last night. I'm not going to do it today, but I am going to thank the sponsors as a body for making it possible for us to get this conference together. Without that support, it wouldn't happen. But the last thank you really is to the speakers. Conferences are only as good as the material that's presented, and I've seen a lot of the material, most of it I think, for today's presentations, and we've got some outstanding presentations to listen to, I think. So to the speakers, thank you, and you'll get thanked again during the day, I'm sure. Now, as to electrification. Electrification faces some pretty challenging ongoing issues. There will be a lot in this room who share my view and know that the answer to decarbonising railway traction is to electrify. And if it was as simple as just saying there's the decision, away we go, then the network would be being electrified today. But it isn't that simple, because we have an extremely difficult set of challenges to address to make it economically possible to roll electrification out. That challenge, in my opinion, leaves us vulnerable to not delivering the net zero challenge. And if we don't deliver the net zero challenge towards the end of this century, many parts of the railway will fall into being discredited and disused. And that certainly is not the right thing to happen for the country. So we have to address that. One of the things that leaves us vulnerable in making the case for electrification is some of the perverse ways that economic evaluation takes place. In today's world, it is very rare to find factoring in of the abandonment of diesel fleets and the changes and the simplification of the maintenance structures for the rolling stock. It's not common to find in the arrangements of economic evaluation the abandonment of the fuel supply for the diesel trains that the electric traction replaces. And worse still, internationally and particularly in this country, we haven't yet come to terms with how we value the finishing of pollution and, importantly, the carbon effects of making a railway over to electric traction. So without those factors built in, the case is harmed. And if you want to read an excellent analysis of some of that, our guest here today, David Shearers, has written an article about how our government, the DfT, manages to miss the point on carbon efficiency and pollution efficiency. Well worth a read. Well, today we're going to be hearing informed views from people who know this subject intimately and have plans to move forward with electrification. We'll hear about progress in technical developments, and we'll hear about programs being developed and changes that are happening to make electrification deliverable. I'm really looking forward to hearing the speakers, so I'm going to shut up and let them talk now. The only thing I will say is please enjoy the day, and thank you for turning up.